Marks, thank you very much for taking time out for the BBC website. Could you tell us how important Scotland has been in your career?
Well, we have memories going back to playing the Glasgow Apollo in the probably '75, and so there is, maybe it's a kind of a dispersed history, but there is a history there of us playing, and every show that we have played has been, the reaction has been amazing. So
it seems like we're more, our appearances tend to be more in Glasgow than Edinburgh for some reason, and this area more. So I don't know why that is, but the Glasgow shows have always been amazing. The Glasgow audience have been incredible.
So appearance-wise, you've been coming here for, say, over 30 years, but I was just having a little read about you, what you've been up to, and I'd never known that Tribe had done stuff with you. How did that sort of come about? Tribe obviously were an Edinburgh-based dance act.
Yeah, well, we had done a song called National Crime Awareness Week, and we recorded it in LA, and then we were looking for somebody to give it another treatment to it, and just a mutual friend knew of them, and we had no knowledge of Tribe at that time, and so but we heard some of their stuff afterwards, and then we said, if you guys want to have a go at it. So they took this song and kind of reworked it a bit, and the version that actually came out and was released as a single was their production, really. And,
right.
And then they actually did they had a little complex where they did had a space to do a video as well, so they did a video for us as well, and so we really liked what they did, and liked just the whole conceptual thing of having their little empire in Edinburgh. Yeah.
And speaking of Scottish artists, there's big rumours around saying that you're going to be collaborating with Franz Ferdinand. Can you corroborate any of these rumours?
Well, we had a conversation with them in Los Angeles. It's probably 2 years ago now. So every time that's mentioned, it sounds sort of more and more like a lie. But actually, there were discussions. We continue to be in touch about doing some sort of collaboration, whether it would be a song co-written by all of us, or something that they supplied or we supplied. So it isn't even into any kind of specific stage, but we have talked with them about that.
Now you have achieved kind of cult status. You're name checked by lots of types of bands. But when I was reading up about you, I had a whole new type of respect for you, because you name checked Public Enemy. And they're my favourite band.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah, well, people somehow think, well, first of all, that it's incongruous that we would like Public Enemy, and also that we're being somehow ironic by name drop. But when, in particular, it takes a Nation of Millions to, and also Fear of a Black Planet. Those to me were like the equivalent of Sgt. Pepper for me. That they were so dense, and so many things going on, and also I just like the idea, maybe I'm prejudiced, but of a band, if you can call them a band, where there's two distinct personalities like that. So those albums in particular of theirs are the ones that I liked before it was necessary to clear samples. I think they could kind of pile on millions of different things into a jumble, and now things are a little bit more sparse. But I love those albums, those two in particular.
The music industry, talking about sampling, has moved on leaps and bounds. And how would you feel if people sampled your music? Are you quite precious about it?
As long as they pay us, we're not precious.
So you'd want to be paid, you just would not give it away free?
Well, I mean, we first of all, we'd be flattered if somebody wanted to use our music within the context of what they're doing, and but as an artist, that's all you have in your life is your creation. So it's it's like any creative person, or any person at all, whatever you'd prefer to be paid for your work, But the flip side is we'd be flattered having people sampling us.
So you're 21 albums deep. How much more can you churn out, do you think? Ron, how many more lyrics can you keep coming out with?
Not much more.
The well doesn't run dry.
Yeah. No, every time when you finish an album, you kind of think that there's nowhere else that you can kind of go. But we have such drive that I think that's kind of what propels us and that puts us in the position of trying to top each thing that we've done. And we've been very fortunate with the reaction on the new album. If it hasn't been total gangbusters as far as sales, that the critical reaction, the reaction of a lot of people, even at festivals, has been really strong. So there might be something in the future.
BBC Radio 2 have been playing it a lot. You know, it's like one of the biggest radio stations in Europe. Did that suddenly come as a shock to you that all of a sudden one of the biggest BBC stations was playing your album?
Well, we're happy about it because despite the complexity of the music that we're doing, we also think that it's commercial music too. And throughout our history of the band, there has been commercial success, but on our own terms. A song like "This Town Ain't Big Enough for Both of Us" wasn't what you'd call a commercial song. Typically, when you now in hindsight you'd say, oh yeah, well that's commercial because it's so unique, so special. But when people first heard it, it was like, oh, what is that? So on our own terms, we think that what we do also is commercial, but not giving up any of the uniqueness and personality of what we're doing.
There's a Scottish up-and-coming band called Dan and Ann Aykroyd who are currently in New York recording an album, and their drummer is probably the biggest Sparks fan I've ever met in my life. He's actually, I told him I was going to come along to interview you, and he was sick because he couldn't be here. So he's emailed me a question to ask you. So for Paul Carlin, if you could just let him know, how on earth did you end up on the Gilmore Girls, which is a US sitcom, yeah?
It was as surprising to us as it was to anybody, but the producer and director and writer, the main writers, the creators actually of the show, are huge Sparks fans, and for the one episode they wanted to use a couple of their favorite bands within the context, within the storyline of that particular episode. And so they had us on a street corner doing a version of a song of ours off the last album called Perfume. So it was just Ron and I playing on our own, and they're fans of Sparks, and they've actually used some Sparks music in other episodes of Gilmore Girls as well. So it wasn't the first time that they utilized Sparks.
I mean, people can see this on YouTube, obviously, and other clips. One of the clips people can see on YouTube is of you on Top of the Pops, one of your first appearances. And apparently the BBC got complaints because of Ron's appearance. Have you ever had complaints anywhere else, Ron, for your appearance? Because I think you look quite stylish and dapper.
Well, the main negative one that I'm aware of, we at around that time, maybe it was like the late 70s, there was a French variety show that we were going to do, and then we were sort of bounced from the show because of my mustache. And I kind of, maybe I was naive, but I never really realized the impact that mustache might have on some people. I always saw it in a sort of a Chaplin-esque way, or maybe just in a general silent movie kind of way. I never saw it in sort of a dictator sort of way. So from that point on, I kind of decided to change the mustache style, because I didn't want to get it getting in the way of people just hearing what we were doing musically.
Well, thank you very much for speaking to us. We hope you have a great festival. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.